everyone, welcome to a new video. Today is Sunday, June 1st. I'm here in a very vacant Hudson's Bay store, the downtown Queen Street store. I'm on the 6th floor, that's where I'm starting, and then I'm going to go all the way down to probably the first floor or the subfloor. I'm going to walk around each floor just a bit, but I won't show you going down the escalator because the escalators aren't operational. Everything is, you've got to climb, so that's pretty boring to watch. But here's where we are. I'm just here because I just had to come pay my farewell to the Hudson's Bay store. I've known it all my life. I'm 66, and I remember coming to the Bay store with my mom in Calgary. I remember the Calgary store very well. It's a beautiful actual structure itself. And then, of course, when I moved here in '89, I used to come to the Bay, but the Bay wasn't at this current location. The flagship store in Toronto was on Yonge and Bloor. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little later. So this floor, based on the index that we just looked at, is furnishings, which I wasn't very familiar with, I have to admit. I typically came here for clothing items, but that seemed to have ceased because my tastes changed, as you know, our tastes change over time. I did used to shop a lot online here, probably about 5 years ago, and then my focus changed when I needed to buy things. So, as I said, today is the last day, Sunday. Is it the 21st? Is it 31st or June 1st? It's June 1st, I think. And what I have noticed as I've been making my way up to the 6th floor was there's lineups to get a number so that you can be called to be accompanied by a sales associate to the items that you are interested in viewing or purchasing. So it's quite a process. The Bay is closing after 355 years in Canada. It's a sad time. Anyhow, I'm going to be heading down, and I'll see you on floor 5. Okay, I'm on floor 5 now. This looks like it was clothing. Yeah, clothing. Here, Levi's was here. Yeah, it doesn't look familiar to me at this point because the merchandise isn't here anymore, so I don't really necessarily recognize the floor layout as well as I once did. So this location is at 176 Queen Street. And the closure, shouldn't really be a surprise. I remember the Yonge and Bloor Street Bay closing. That was once the Bay's flagship store, and they moved to this location as the flagship store, I think 2015 maybe? But I'm just trying to recognize, I'm focusing on where I am because I would have been on this floor at some point, but I'm just trying to figure out, I think maybe this was bedding, I think. So I did a video of the Bay, I keep wanting to say it, the Bloor and Yonge location, I think in 2021 to 2022, because they were closing that store. I don't think there's anything in there right now. I think it's just a vacant space. So Hugo Boss was here. I guess this is probably the men's section, I bet. Yeah, this could have been menswear. So early March of this year, they made an announcement that they were looking to look for funding, I think, for the Bay stores. I think they filed with CAA in early March 2025, and and their demise was announced. Shortly thereafter. I know that they had some potential investors, but there is a criteria, and maybe those investors weren't interested, or the Bay wasn't interested in meeting requirements. So both ends, I think, both sides weren't necessarily happy. I'm suspecting. Oh, I didn't know that about collar shapes. This is definitely the menswear section, because I've never seen anything like this in the women's wear section. So I'm just walking around the floor. You can see the windows. Let's see if we can look out and see where we are exactly. Oh yeah, so it's definitely men's. So this is Richmond Street right here. That's what the sign says down below. I'm not sure if the camera will pick that up. Richmond Street. And then this is, I've never been really close to the windows, because they've always had, seems like the windows inaccessible, as you can see just by this. You can just see by these hanging structures that people weren't going to the windows. This must be Queen, maybe? Look at that beautiful building. That's gorgeous. I should know what that building is. Darn it. I recognize it, but I just can't put my... Oh, is that... It's beautiful, though. If anybody knows the name of that building, let me know. Write down in the comments below. Yeah, so as I was saying, to get access to the windows in this department store, certainly over the last 25, maybe 30 years, access to the windows wasn't available, because there was usually something in front of the structures. I wonder if that was a safety precaution. And so sad about this location, sad about the Bay stores in period. I know Bonnie Brooks, I think she was the chief operating officer, maybe. I know she came in, I think, 2008, maybe. I've got to find my way down. And so she was with the Bay for quite a while. And I think she came from Holt Renfrew, if I'm not mistaken. There is definitely architectural significance. This building is a landmark in Toronto. It's a landmark of department store architectural. It's in a Romanesque style. In 2016, major renovations took place here at the Bay, because that's when they incorporated Saks, and it changed. I remember really noticing a big difference with the ground floor, how the ground floor changed when Saks came in. So people are taking away furnishings, artwork, mannequins, hangers. So here, this large ballet bar, you only pay $25. And today is the last day. No exchanges or returns. So when I first moved to Toronto, this location used to be the home of Simpson Sears. And Simpson Sears in this location occupied the very south end of the Eaton Centre. And then at the north end was, of course, Eaton's. Then that changed, and when Nordstrom came in, they sort of took over that north end, or at least part of that north end. And then the Bay, long before that, took over the Sears location. So there's been changes in both the north end and the south end of the anchor stores here at the Eaton Centre. Okay, I'm going to head down to the 4th floor. So here we are on the 4th floor. I just passed a lady going up the escalator that I was coming down, and she's saying it's a sad time to say goodbye, and I said, you're absolutely right. It's a very sad time. It's a very sad time to see a Canadian institution close its doors. And I have to apologize for the angling of this camera, folks. I still haven't gotten it fixed since we've been back from Australia, and I do owe you a couple more videos from Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji. We're having a bit of a challenge editing that next video in Australia. I think it's the Sydney video. It's pretty mucked up at the beginning, so I've been delaying what to think about to say in the opening of that video, because I'm going to have to, I think, cut it or do something. This was the women's floor, at least one of the women's floors, so I did say we're on the 4th floor, right? I would have definitely been here. So these mannequins are for sale. Yeah, I have to say, it's been a while since I have frequented the Bay stores. I used to come to the Bay, for cosmetics, way before Sephora came into the picture. I used to come here for, bedding even. But I hadn't done that in a while. Yeah. So this looks like it would have been lingerie. Gee, I can't remember. And Donna Karen is clothing, but I just saw some lingerie advertising in the seaway down there. Yeah, this is all blocked off here. More mannequins. Furnishings here. How much the furniture is going for? It's $200. Oh, it's leather. That's why. It's a leather chair. It is a bit marked up, but yeah. I was in the Calgary Bay, as I mentioned earlier. I lived in Calgary, and so I used to go to the Calgary Bay a lot because back in, the 70s, 80s, it was thriving. It wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. I used to love going to the Bay. I used to even love coming here, particularly in the 90s, 2000s. Yeah, but things started to change. 2010s, I would say. Oh, there's some clothes that are still for sale. Anything worth looking at here? Let's have a look. Oh, Olsen's a good brand. It's a very good brand. It's a little bit, the look though, the vibe is a little bit more, it's not quite as, I like the colors in this, but It's just not my, it's just not my vibe, unfortunately. But it is a good quality brand, just not my taste. Empty, empty, empty. I have to do one last walk around each floor. Yeah, as I mentioned, the Bay was a big deal once upon a time. They used to have a restaurant. I remember the Bloor Street location had a restaurant. I think this location might have had a restaurant as well. I don't recall that so much. It would have had a food court for sure, somewhere, probably in the basement. But I remember the Yonge and Bloor Street store had a restaurant. And actually, no, I do recall this store on the subfloor, so one below ground level, had a little like cafe sort of diner restaurant. And I remember when I used to work downtown, I used to walk through the pathway system. And depending on how late I worked, I would sometimes stop at that restaurant and have fries and a burger. That was my treat to myself because I worked late. So I'd have fries and a burger and then hop on the subway to get home. Those were really only for late nights because I usually walked home. And at the time I was living at Yonge and Eglinton in the early 90s. In a very cute apartment on Broadway Avenue. Now I'm not far from there. I'm probably, a 15-minute walk. I'm further south now. Okay, this is where we started, I think. And I'm going to head down to the third floor. Some escalators are working, I see, others not. I'll see you on the third floor. Okay, here we are on the third floor. Now this was a very bougie women's wear floor. The Room has been around. It's called the Room because it catered to designer, specifically designer brands. Very pricey. And this, before it was renovated, there was a big shoe section right here. Really big designer shoe section. That only lasted for a few years, I think. And then Giorgio Armani was here, Max Mara was here. Like high-end brands were here. And this was really such a nice space. And even before this renovation, it was a nice space. Very nice space. Yeah. Yeah. This is where the Gowns used to live. Gowns, and then dotted throughout there'd be some leather goods like leather bags. We're talking thousands of dollars for one item here. This whole section. And Max Mara is just across the way there. There's the women's washroom just beyond that couch. Elevators. A lot of people are taking elevators, as you can see, because especially if you have a stroller or you're carrying heavy bags, I don't want to be climbing the stairs. Yeah, here's where Max Mara Weekend was. The last couple of years, the last couple of years, they had some super major, fantastic shoe sales. And I remember buying some rather inexpensive, very expensive shoes that I would not pay the regular price for, but they went down to 60% off, and I bought some shoes. at that very good deal. So right across here, this is Saks. I think you could, because they were connected, Saks and the Bay, I think you could get access to Saks at every floor, if I'm not mistaken. So it says here the third floor is closed. Please visit us on the second floor. So I guess they have some offerings on the second floor. This is what's left of the Bay store as we know it, folks. Oh yeah, I remember what was here. Okay, I do now remember what was here. This whole floor I think is pretty bougie. That's where the fitting rooms are. But yeah, they used to have some beautiful pieces here. Sandro, and some of these brands that they used to carry or did carry are standalone stores now. So they probably did better in their standalone stores than they did in the department store. And Sandro is a medium to high-end women's clothing. Yeah, that's right. It looks so different with no garments. And here, this area here is kind of a funky area. It had a lot of denim and some very avant-garde type items. It was a rather inspiring area in here of women's clothing. Yeah. Well, we did the whole walk around. This is where we started, and I'll see you on the next floor. So here we are on the second floor. The second floor. Oh yeah, okay, I do know the second floor. So we are going to start, we're going to walk around this way actually. This is all shoes in here. So as I mentioned, I did pick up over the last couple of years some high-priced footwear that I got at like 60% off. So there was a lot of designer, we'll get to that. And down here this is more athletic wear, like running shoes. I did pick up couple of pairs of running shoes, not actual running shoes, but sneakers is what I should say. Elevators. I did, a couple of weeks ago, I remember taking the elevator, but waiting forever to take the elevator. So I just, because some of the escalators had not been working for weeks. And I noticed that when we came back from Australia, I used to, I was cutting through the pathway system and came through the subfloor, and the escalator wasn't working. And then I came back the next week, took the same route, and the escalator still wasn't working. So I figured something's going on, and that's when I started hearing more about the demise of the Bay. We were away February, March, and sort of tapped into the news of what was going on in Toronto or in, specific to the Bay. That's when things were first announced. I didn't really pay that much attention because I thought, of course, somebody's going to come in and save the day. There is City Hall, and there's Old City Hall right at the very corner of that. This is Bay Street and Richmond, Bay and Richmond. Yeah, this was a lot of athletic wear was, I think, down in this corner. Or at least it once was athletic wear. Could have changed. But again, this floor is all women's wear. Yeah, I think Saks came in here, if I didn't already mention, came in 2016, so almost 10 years ago. Wow, that went by very quickly. I remember when they moved in, and they did some major renovations to the base store to include Saks. And I didn't quite like the base store, or at least the layout, as much as I once did. I don't know why that should matter when they incorporated Saks, but it did. And the Mountain Equipment Co-op, I think, has been here since the renovation. I don't think there are items, I think there's some discount to their items, but not, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff here. I am actually we're going on a trail walk with a friend of mine in Ireland, and I should take advantage of some outdoor wear. I need some ankle covers. Oh. And I do need some, actually I've got some good socks for my trail shoes. But do I want another pair? This is men's. Yeah, these are really thick. Yeah, there's a lot of clothes here. Don't like elastic backings on clothes. I don't know what it is. I just do not like elastic backing on clothes. I should, because they're supposed to be more comfortable, but just not my vibe. Okay, let's continue. Quick shopping. And so in here was sort of more streamlined, mainstream, affordable shoes. You know, still good quality. All the Bay designer shoes was down at this end, and I still remember when it first opened with this designer area and seeing all the pretty girly shoes, which I always admired from afar, but by that point I was no longer working in the corporate world, so pretty girly shoes didn't apply to my everyday. But all along here was very expensive shoes. Here's Saks. And this used to be the shoe area until about a year or two ago. And then I think they just made it men's shoes, and women's shoes I think were located elsewhere. But this was the perfect spot for women's shoes. Yeah. Second floor is where we are, and it's men's fashion, and women's moved to the third. And that was probably, I'd say, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 at most. Yeah. So yeah, closing sale. Yeah. Oh, this is just hard to take in. And I noticed so around Christmas time, I remember coming to the Bay for something, and anyhow, I came because this was my way to get through the overpass and to get into the Eaton Centre Mall, which we'll get to in a moment. So I just want to show you that. But every time I would cut through this section, of course, the shoes are right in front of me, and thought I wonder if I could get any more good deals. And I noticed the brand names that they were carrying was certainly to no to no comparison to the high-end brands that they used to carry. And, there were shoes that were maybe maximum $200, maximum, far, far more affordable, the shoes that they were offering for sale here. And I thought something's going on with the Bay. And this was before Christmas. Or you know what? It could have been January because we were still here in January. But it was recent, before the announcement. And I knew something was going on here. And this is the pathway to, of course, Saks you can connect, and to the Eaton Centre. So this was sort of a skincare, cosmetic area that changed. It changed what was offered here a few times. So it was cosmetics, like skincare, that kind of thing. And it changed to offering different offerings unrelated to skincare and then back to skincare. So quite a different space. So I am going to get back to the escalator, and I will see you on the next floor. Okay, here we are on the ground floor, first floor, women's accessories, makeup, cosmetics, jewelry. The jewelry is amazing discount, lots of diamonds, 80% off, with an extra 15% off of that. Like, what a sweet deal. Look at all the people here. But you have to, I think you have to get a number, and then they call out your name, which is, I think this is where you sign up for your number, and then they call out your name, and then an associate accompanies you. But really what's left here, folks, are high-end items, primarily diamonds, gemstones. I saw a necklace for $35,000. As I was walking around here. So 80% off $35,000 still is a pretty penny, right? These people here are pretty much waiting for their number to be called. Now, what was here? I should know. This was also shoes and bags, I think. And when this section first opened, when they did the renovation, this was, I think, labeled the largest shoe section in Toronto, or something to that effect. And there was a door here that you could exit. Yeah, and that was closed off. So that door, I don't think existed anymore, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but yeah. And so this was, again, high-end shoes. Now, this, I think, when they first did the renovations, this is where the high-end shoes were. And then they were moved up to the second floor through another renovation, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they had some. And here, oh, look at the dog. Now, is that not the best thing you've seen in this video? Seriously. The dog. A little Yorkie. So this section here used to be open. Oh, it looks like it still was. I don't know what was here. But there used to be some really high-end shoes in here, too. So this is before they renovated the second floor, where we just came from, where I showed you where there were high-end shoes. But this was, I think, the original location when they did the renovations way back in the day. And here are the original stairs. Look at the terrazzo stairs. These stairs, like, how old are these stairs, I wonder? Yeah, so there's Richmond Street. And I think that is Queen Street. Is that Queen Street? Oh, no, it's Bay Street. That's Bay Street. Yeah, and then this floor changed to just mainstream. Shoes and bags. So you can hear one of the staff on an intercom. They're announcing names for people to, names and numbers so that they can be accompanied by an associate to make their purchase. So this is all jewelry, mostly gemstones. Yeah, very expensive. If you're in the market, by the time you see this video, the store is going to be closed. Who knows what is not sold, where it's going to go. Yeah, this was all jewelry as well. Jewelry. And now we're touching into designer cosmetics, skincare. A little Yorkie is being admired by some of the customers. Understandably so. So when I first came down, there was a lineup for the last remaining skincare and cosmetics just in this area. Now it looks like everything has been sold. There's not an item left. Now let's see if we can get to the concourse level, if it's opened. There's a floor count of 8. I think 6 are retail. I'm not sure what the other 2 floors were. The floor area is 70,000 square meters, and there is 750,000 square feet of selling space in this location. Now I know that Simon's is coming to town, or downtown rather, and escalators. Okay. I'm going to meet you at the concourse. Okay, here we are at the concourse level. This is as low as it goes. So Pusateri's used to be here. This is where bedding and sheets and towels. They had great selection down here of bedding and sheets. So this is where Zellers, because Zellers was incorporated a couple of years ago, I think 2023, Zellers was reintroduced here at the Bay. And it's unfortunate to see them go. I remember when they also left Toronto, and I want to show you. This is where, when I was working downtown, shortly after I moved to Toronto, I was working downtown, and I used to work at university and Richmond maybe. Anyhow, I used to take this pathway system. I used to come up here, and right here, this would have been the entrance to this cute little diner restaurant I was telling you about. And I used to have my fries and burger after a late night at work, and then catch the subway. And then this was renovated. That was taken down, that restaurant, I can't remember how long ago, but quite a while ago. And then now we have all the towels and all kinds of, they had really good selection here, actually. Hudson's Bay blanket. So it's good to know, speaking of which, when I think of the 6-point Hudson's Bay blanket, I have one. David gave me one for Christmas, the beginning of our relationship, like 100 years ago. And it's good to know that Canadian Tire is taking over that, there's the elevators, taking over the base stripes, as far as I know. The blankets, well, I'm not sure if it's the blankets, but I know it's the 6-point association with the Bay. Blankets, of which there were one of the major sellers. I remember Smythe, the design team, women's design team, they worked in a collaboration with the Bay, and they did ladies' swing coats. Gorgeous in the 6-point blanket yarn, I guess. And I always regretted not getting one of those coats. They were lovely. Here, like, there are pots and pans. Here, toasters. A lot of kitchenware. Here. There's another cutie patootie. Oh, so cute. This video keeps getting better and better. Yeah, some people really cleaned up well with all their shopping here today. And the subway is just down that pathway. And here used to be, I remember, like there was a restaurant, like a food, like selling like groceries restaurant on this end. Pooza Terry's, I think, was on the other end. But Pooza Terry's has been shut in that location since the pandemic. Only parts of that grocery store were available after the pandemic opened, but their baked goods and a lot of their goods were no longer on the shelves, and those sections of Pooza Terry were closed off. It looks like there's still some things that are for sale. Christmas cards. Yeah, looks like mostly Christmas cards. Yeah. Sad to see, huh? Oh, that's cute. Yeah. I remember they used to have a dedicated candy section here with like jelly beans and they just had like chocolates, rosettes, and that closed a long time ago. It was right by the escalator. No, I think I've already taken you down this side. Wow. What was down here? I don't know what this is. What does it say? I don't know what's down there. No idea. It's interesting that it's not closed off. Maybe it's access to the subway, but there's no signage. Yeah, so what's here on the concourse level? Yeah, bedding, housewares, dinnerware, small appliances. Yep. Hudson's Bay stripes. Well, folks, this is the end of an era. And I can't stop saying how saddened I am by the closing of this store. Anyhow, thank you very much for joining me in this video. I hope everybody is doing well. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. And I should be getting up my South Pacific videos, in the next couple of months. Yikes. Anyhow, sorry about the delay. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. This is Boomer Girl Walking, signing off.